Hey Caps, it's your midsole man, EDDBUD here. As we draw towards the end of the year, I've got today for you my running related awards for 2023. In my annual roundup, I've got some key categories for you, such as which brand has improved the most in 2023 and which one does need to improve in 2024. I got my highlights and my lowlights, plus I'll even be looking at some of my favourite running related accessories this year. And I've got a special guest for you later on. I bet you can't wait, can you? But remember, you can't open your presents until the family's here. Let's get to it. Thanks for joining me, everybody, on this prestigious occasion, my running related awards for 2023. Now, a viewer gave me the idea for this video, Alan Lim 37. If your name is Alan Lim, then thank you very much, Alan, for the idea for this one. I told you I was going to do it, and I'm a man of my word. Bit of a special guest later on. I wonder if you can guess who it is. And they are a human, it's not a cat or anything. Okay, so first up is the most improved brand over 2023. I think for me, this one's gotta be On. I did try out the Cloud Monster in 2022, and I was a bit unimpressed really with that one. Although On did have very fast shipping. I had a bit of an ill-fitting upper there, not enough padding in the key areas, and you know, that's very important just in life really. Shoe felt a little bit rigid underfoot, and the speed board just too close to the foot really. I have to say they have really upped their game in 2023. Been some absolute bangers really, from the sort of max cushion Cloud Eclipse through to the lower stack yet responsive, very usable Cloud Flow 4. I think they've improved almost all of the different models actually in the lineup over the course of the year. I think they took the Cloud tech really to the max with that Cloud Stratus release. The Cloud Flow 4, a little bit more nimbler, slightly lower, more responsive shoe. You could use it on a more daily basis. But the big game changer for me is that Cloud Tech phase. It really is fantastic in the Cloud Eclipse. There's this really beautiful propulsive cushion there. Sometimes you just want something that's completely from left field, that's just totally different to everything else. And I think we really did get that with the Cloud Eclipse. And I'm really keen to see how On develops some of these shoes in 2024. So my most improved brand for 2023 is On. Now, which brand needs to improve the most in 2024? I'd suggest by my recent purchases from Nike and New Balance, it's really got to be one of those two. I found last year's Nike releases on the whole to be a little bit flat, not in terms of stack, but in terms of what they brought to the table. Pegasus 40 was basically the 39, but with a more bulky upper. You know, it's a decent enough shoe, but it's not really earth-shattering or anything. And there's quite the weight issue as well for all of Nike's non-race shoes. They seem to be getting heavier and heavier year on year, when all the other brands are going in the opposite direction. Feel a bit clunky, perhaps a few of them seem to all fit into a similar space. There's just too much overlap there. You know, you got the Invincible run, you got the Infinity run. The Miler seems to be forgotten about, thankfully. Let's not, you know, remind them about it. There's been no updates on the Streak Fly, the Zoom Fly 5. They just keep on pumping out new colorways of that one. I did see that there was a image of what was supposed to be the Tempo Next Percent 2, but for some reason they didn't bother to release that one. I think people would have lapped that up. They love the Tempo Next Percent. Just a weird thing with Nike, they keep throwing mud at the wall, but then they just end up with the same shoe basically each time for their daily models. They seem to put all the time and sort of development into the race shoes and not really any effort into the daily stuff. There seems to be a lot of stock lying around in the warehouses at the moment in terms of the Vaporfly 3 and the Alphafly 2 as well. I think they'll probably try and clear out those before they drop that Alphafly 3 in January. I think in terms of New Balance as well, the SC3 really didn't take off. Don't think I've ever seen one of those in the flesh. There's been very little uptake on that SC Pacer as well. SC Trainer V1 I bought, I think it was right at the start of the year, but I barely used it across 2023. Just didn't really feel very inspiring to run in at all. I mean, it had a carbon plate there, some very soft fuel cell foam, but it was never one I really wanted to put on again. The upper was particularly poor on that. I think that was mainly the problem with the SE Pacer as well. The fresh frame X and fuel cell materials seem to differ greatly between the models as well, so you never really know what you're going to get, whether it's going to be super squashy and compressive or something very firm and sort of unresponsive. Hopefully we'll see New Balance drift back to the right place. You know, designs like the RC Elite, that was an absolute banger of a shoe with an incredible outsole on it. The traction was unmatched. Just a few years later and they've taken a few wrong turns, I think. The new models though for 2024 really do look interesting from New Balance. Some really careful updates there. I mean, the RC Elite 4's got a drastic update on the upper, as does the SC Pacer, so I think they might return to form a little bit. So my wooden spoon award for the brands that need to improve most goes to Nike and New Balance. Now, running shoes are important to me, as you know, but all the other gear that comes with running is just as important too. So I've got 3 items here that are kind of clothing and accessories, you know, those additional things you need that I've been using this year that are my favourites, and I'll tell you which is my best one. So the first of those items that springs to mind for this category is got to be from Coros. I've been using their new heart rate monitor over the last few months. One of the things I love about this heart rate monitor is it's so quick to charge, and you get a huge charge from it as well. It lasts for days and days and days. The other thing I love is it's got no buttons as well. On my old Polar OH1 heart rate monitor, I used to leave the thing switched on all the time, then come to use it and find that it was completely and utterly exhausted. I get some super accurate measurements on my sort of upper arm here. Tend to use a heart rate monitor mainly because I got really bony wrists. They never work that well in terms of the optical ones on GPS watches, so I always utilise a heart rate monitor to get some more accurate results. I have in fact tested this year against a sort of stick-on chest-based heart rate monitor and received the exact same result. So people tend to say, are the heart rate monitors that you can get on a band, are they as good? Well, in my estimations, yes, they're pretty much exactly the same. There's no extra pieces to forget or lose with this heart rate monitor from Coros. It's really easy to adjust as well to get it exactly the right tension around your arm. They reckon you can get about 38 hours of use with this one on one charge. I think that's pretty much exactly what I've had so far. So sadly retired the old Polar OH1. I think it's 68 quid though, this upgrade from Coros. For any GPS watch is a must. Another superb item I've been trying out this year and I've used countless times is from UYN. Their Runners 5 socks are the best socks I have tried all year. Exceptional quality, they've been washed hundreds of times. The fit of these socks from UYN is fantastic, and they seem to be something of a lucky charm as well. Whenever I've used them in racing, my times have been fantastic. They really produce the goods. There's a few shoes, in fact, that I've worn this year that really benefit from these socks because they obviously cover each of your toes. If I've had a shoe that's like a little bit bigger or slightly more generous in terms of the upper materials, these socks fix that problem. Perhaps if you've got a slightly more narrow foot, you could grab a pair of the Runners 5 socks and suddenly your shoes are going to be that little bit better in terms of fit. You're not going to have to cinch them quite so much. Almost seamless around the toes there. And once you've got the gist of putting them on, they aren't too much of a struggle really to get the toes in a nice sort of snug blister-free fit. One of my absolute fave items of 2023, no doubt. Last one up for the award today is some Bluetooth earbuds, in fact, from Earfun. The AirPro 3 were sent over to me for review earlier in the year. I've used these hundreds of times. They're fantastic. Rain or shine. Really love the fact they come with that charging case as well. I don't think I've ever completely fully exhausted the headphones or the charge, at least from the case. Every time I've got close to using up all the power, I think I've charged it again and I've been fine. Now the AirPro 3 a little bit more neutral sounding than the AirPro 2 that I reviewed a couple of years back. Quite a powerful sound really for such small earbuds, though they do have a couple of additional features that I really love. The active noise cancelling is highly effective, though I would suggest that blocking out all external sound when you're a runner, maybe not the best of ideas. I use it by actually adding the sound back into the headphones so that I can hear practically everything around me, and also my music too. There are a lot of people, traffic and hazards on my local route, so it's good to stay safe, people. These have an 11mm wool driver and they deliver a lot of power, really. Nice rounded response to these. You got nice smooth bass without it being totally overblown, and they're not too harsh in terms of that EQ curve. On a lot of earbuds you get this huge increase in bass and treble with not a lot of mids, but they sound pretty articulate, really, and that's coming from a guy that's used some very high quality wired headphones over the years. I think at 69 quid these are a fantastic pickup for runners. If I had to have one item though out of these three, I think I'd probably choose the UYN Runners 5 socks. Superb design and easily the most used of accessories over the course of the last year. Well done, UYN. Okay, I've got a special category for you now, and a special guest to talk about it too. Welcome back to the channel, Mrs. EDDBUD.
And one more time for the people at the back, I have my own name. It's Charlotte. Hi. So I'm here to do the 2023 honourable mention. And if you'll roll with me for a bit, we're going to climb down from the dizzying Spice Girls inspired midsole height to something a little more, well, little. For my honourable mention, I wanted to draw your attention to an independent company whose trainers have been a firm favourite in our house for a while now, and who've also been voted one of 2023's best by Runner's World magazine. BGreater shoes have a strong focus on healthy foot development, and so they make a range of barefoot children's trainers which are absolutely brilliant. They wear super well, provide great support and comfort, and allow feet to move like they should. Their trainer comes in a wide range of colours, and I believe more are on the way. And really brilliantly, they also do school shoes and have just launched a Chelsea boot, meaning little feet can rock a pair of barefoot, comfy, toe wiggle room shoes, whatever they're up to. I've been buying these shoes for a while for our son, and they've had a really positive impact on his walking, so I imagine we'll be sticking with BGreater for quite some time to come. There are loads of things I really like about this company, but one thing I wanted to draw your attention to is that they also work with Sal's Shoes, an amazing charity that is helping to get shoes to children all over the world who really need them, and also to keep lightly used shoes out of landfill. Many of you may be bringing up the next generation of runners, so I urge you to go and check out BGreater. Now I'm going to hand you back to Mr. Charlotte.
Okay, on to the last category for today, and that is brand of the year. Just going to talk about a few of the other sort of almost rans. Adidas have been a little bit of hit and miss this year, haven't they? The Prime X Strung 2, well, that's a bit of a disappointment for me, that shoe. The Supernova Rise, that was not without issue. Now, the Boston 12, an absolute banger. If you've watched my recent top 10 running shoes of 2023, you'll know how highly I rated that one. Adios 8 was a little bit too tough, even for me, the guy that likes those lower stacks. Nike and New Balance, well, I've already talked about them. Asics have got some top line models, it has to be said. The Super Blast, the Nova Blast series, and I really love the Metaspeed Sky Plus too. But there are some models there that just seem to overlap quite a lot for me. The Keanu, the Cumulus, the Nimbus as well. Puma have had some really good releases this year, slowly updating their lineup in terms of running shoes. Though some of the daily stuff really hasn't seen an update for quite some time now. I think we'll probably see those in 2024. I know that there's a flurry of new releases planned for next year, so keep your eyes peeled with them. As such, I think that there is one brand that's really stuck out this year for me, and that is Saucony. I think they've been on point this year with their full running lineup. There's so many great options that all seem to fit very specific areas. The Endorphin Elite, the Triumph 21, the Endorphin Pro 3 and the Speed 3, not forgetting the Kinvara 14. I've even got some miles into the Ride 17 now, and I'm enjoying that one too. I think the Triumph and the Speed 3 have got such huge runner appeal. It's like mass market appeal to like all different types of runners with those shoes, where the weights of all of them are really on point as well, and you get some reasonable cushion as well. I feel that like Power Run Plus, for example, is like a way better material than React. Just so like unpredictable, that foam. I think Saucony, where they got hold of some of that new technology and implemented it into their shoes a few years ago, they've just moved a little bit further forward with some of it and how to use it now than some of the other brands. You just get a lot more shoe for your money. I think the Endorphin Elite though has been one of the standout shoes of this year for me. It's really perfected that super shoe design and sort of ethos, I suppose. You got a new foam there, A really bizarre but awesome upper. Everything about that shoe just sort of screams innovation. And I guess if the price is too high there, you've got some fab discounts on stuff like the Endorphin Pro 3 and the Speed 3. And that Triumph 21 is just such a usable model on a daily basis. You can put it into action for just about any run type aside from sort of high speed training. So with all the updates that are coming in 2024 as well, I really do believe that Saucony have perhaps been the most consistent, best brand of 2023. Been at the top of their game a little bit more often than all of the others. So that's all of my awards for 2023. I can't wait to get stuck into the shoes in 2024. What do you reckon of my selections today, people? Remember, it's a bit of fun, you know, some stuff works for others and not so much for some people. Let me know your choices for each category down in the comments. I've got an absolute banger for you today in terms of the musical interlude. I'm not entirely sure how I wasn't aware about the release of this album, but apparently it came out last year. Chas and Dave's Christmas Carol album. I mean, you can't lose, can you? Though Chas and Dave have gone down a slightly more traditional route with this one, it kind of sounds a little bit like they could be out in the street or something performing these. They've got like a brass band with them on many of the tracks. It's certainly quite the departure, I've got to say. Listen to this one for the first time. It's probably not the best one to put on at a party or something. A few of the tracks sound a little bit mournful, actually. It's a huge departure from Chas and Dave's like Christmas special, where they bring on like Albert Lee and Eric Clapton. I think Jimmy Crickett's even on that one. Good Christian Men Rejoice is perhaps the most upbeat track on the album, and Silent Night almost sounds like a reprise of Ain't No Pleasing You or something like that. So it's a nice one to perhaps put on in the background somewhere. I guess it's kind of nice it's almost done a more traditional, you know, Christmas album here without the fancy jazzy stuff on there. Some really nice, beautiful, warm sounds from that brass band. I do believe it's a band from the Salvation Army as well. So yeah, it's a really nice traditional vibe. Go and check it out, people. Thanks for tuning in to my 2023 awards. I hope you enjoyed this one today, people. Remember to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. But also, have a great Christmas break. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you. Quickly.
Merry Christmas from me and Beast. I hope you appreciate that Christmas greeting. I literally just took my life in my own hands.
She's not that bad.
She really is.
No, she's not. She's a beautiful creature. Just a bit violent.